It is believed the Blessed Virgin Mary was raised there and received the Annunciation there. By there, we mean Nazareth. So, how did it get to Italy, where the devotion to the Holy House began?
When scientists dared to unseal what many believe to be the tomb of the Virgin Mary, the world stopped watching and started holding its breath. Beneath centuries of silence, they uncovered something that no one was prepared to face. What began as a careful archaeological study soon turned into a moment that blurred the lines between faith, science, and fear itself. Every step deeper revealed more questions than answers. What did they really find hidden in the darkness of that ancient chamber? The truth, it seems, is far more haunting than anyone expected. The tomb's mysterious opening. From the moment scientists decided to open what is believed to be the tomb of the Virgin Mary, the world held its breath. This ancient burial site, hidden for centuries and shrouded in legend, drew immense attention not only from historians and archaeologists, but from people across the globe. The opening was not a casual event. It required painstaking preparation, reverence, and cutting-edge technology. Initial reports hinted at discoveries that defied expectations, stirring an atmosphere thick with curiosity and unease. The tomb, located in the Kidron Valley near Jerusalem, has long been considered a sacred resting place for Mary, the mother of Jesus. Despite centuries of belief, there had never been a thorough scientific examination until recently. Accessing the tomb involved navigating fragile architecture and overcoming natural decay, making the process as delicate as it was daring. Excavations began quietly, away from the public eye, but rumors soon leaked. Images of the sealed entrance and the team's cautious movements sparked fevered speculation. Was there proof of Mary's physical remains, or would the tomb yield something entirely unexpected? Everyone sensed that the answers could challenge deeply held narratives. Even though the opening was initially framed as an academic inquiry, the emotional weight it carried elevated it far beyond ordinary research. As the tomb was breached, the world waited for details, both eager and anxious. Those present described an atmosphere charged with reverence and tension. Among them, scientists, historians, and religious figures. What they encountered inside, however, sent ripples of shock through every community that revered the site. Speculation grew whether the tomb's contents could validate long-standing traditions or reveal something far stranger. The mystery was only beginning, and the revelations inside would soon turn global attention into collective astonishment. While the team was writing down their discoveries, they still carefully kept the most disturbing ones to themselves. The public was informed that the internal findings were completely outside what either science or faith was ready for. This hesitation only made the attraction stronger. The opening of the tomb had already made things happen that no one could predict, and that raised questions about the very nature of the biggest mysteries of history. The whole world was now in a united state of suspense and marvel. Near the archaeological site, the locals and the pilgrims were experiencing a mixture of excitement and fear. The faith of the believers was being tested, and they were praying for the assurance of their faith, while the skeptics were doubting the reasons for the excavation. The cultural significance of the tomb made the scientific undertaking more challenging. Besides, it was already certain that whatever truth surfaces would not remain in the academic world, but would somehow reach the hearts of millions on a very personal level. During all this, the main goal was to record lots of data. Scientists took very detailed photographs, drew samples, and made measurements so that every inch of the tomb was mapped for later study. Even though the chamber was very quiet and spooky, each finding was a point towards revealing a truth that had been concealed by the combination of time and myth. The struggle between the sanctity of the site and the scientific approach made it a very peculiar case, yet one that was followed with great interest all over the world. The query, nonetheless, still existed. What was going on inside this tomb that had been so meticulously sealed and protected? The unveiling of every artifact and the lighting of every corner made the mystery even more complex. This is to say, the digging was not just about getting to the body, but coming across an obscure chapter that would confront most historians, scientists, and believers. The scientists' delicate work in this unique space would soon give way to discoveries that no one could have predicted, the consequences of which reached far beyond this ancient burial site. Such moments remind us how fragile the boundaries between faith, history, and unexplored truths can be. Scientific methods employed. Exploring a site as ancient and fragile as the tomb attributed to the Virgin Mary demanded the most advanced and careful scientific techniques available. The team combined traditional archaeological methods with cutting-edge technology, employing non-invasive scanning and imaging to preserve the sanctity of the site. Ground-penetrating radar and three-dimensional modeling allowed them to visualize the tomb's structure without causing damage. These tools were crucial in mapping out what lay hidden, guiding the excavation step by meticulous step. Specialized cameras, capable of capturing images in low light and infrared spectrums, revealed details otherwise invisible to the naked eye. Experts brought portable laboratories to the site to analyze tiny samples of soil, dust, and any organic material discovered. This allowed for on-the-spot testing of the chamber's environmental conditions and potential biological traces. Every finding was subjected to strict controls to avoid contamination or misinterpretation. Radiocarbon dating played a vital role in determining the age of artifacts and remains found inside the tomb. These tests anchored the discoveries in a timeline that could be compared with historical texts and religious traditions. Additionally, DNA analysis was initiated on any bone fragments or biological materials, seeking clues about identity and origin. Though results were closely guarded initially, these methods promised to clarify the tomb's contents with scientific certainty. Researchers not only relied on the physical analysis, but also on the historical records and architectural studies to get a clear picture of the tomb's construction and its transformations throughout time. The interdisciplinary collaboration of archaeologists, historians, geneticists, and religious scholars guaranteed an all-inclusive method. This was not just a digging operation, but a gathering of various disciplines to correctly and reverently unlock the past. Moreover, the team set up environmental sensors in the tomb to keep track of the humidity, temperature, and air composition. These conditions were extremely important for the preservation of any fragile materials and for preventing rapid decay after the tomb had been opened. Keeping the environment stable not only made it possible to carry out the investigations for a longer period, but also reduced the risks to the site's integrity. Working in such a sensitive context posed challenges that required both patience and accuracy. The tomb's interior was recorded in detail thanks to the use of advanced photographic techniques such as photogrammetry. The records become permanent archives for researchers and the public, thus playing the role of a bridge between scientific discovery and general awareness. Experts could come back to the site virtually by capturing the space in high resolution and expanding the analysis beyond the physical limitations of excavation. These scientific methods advocated the ancient reverence and modern rigor at the same time, uncovering the concealed dimensions of the tomb that were previously unexplored. The array of their tools gave the scientists the power to go into the depths of the earth and beyond the realms of a normal archaeological dig. They were taking a step into history, holding the dual power of innovation and care. Yet, even the most advanced technology could not fully prepare the team for the enigmas the tomb would present. As empirical evidence emerged, a growing sense of wonder and unease spread through the researchers, signaling that some discoveries might challenge conventional understanding. Historical significance of the site. The tomb attributed to the Virgin Mary has stood as a symbol of faith and reverence for nearly 2 millennia. Located near Jerusalem, it holds immense spiritual importance for millions of Christians who believe Mary was assumed into heaven from this humble burial place. Throughout history, the site has inspired countless pilgrimages, prayers, and legends, making it more than just a physical location. Its presence anchors a narrative that bridges ancient traditions and modern belief. Early Christian writings and Byzantine historians refer to the existence of Mary's tomb in this region, although descriptions and exact locations vary. Over centuries, the site changed due to religious shifts, invasions, and natural wear. Despite this, the core belief in the tomb's authenticity remained strong within local communities and throughout Christendom. This continuity of faith lent the site an aura of sacredness difficult to replicate elsewhere. The tomb also serves as a tangible connection to the roots of Christianity, linking the earthly life of Mary with the spiritual legacy of Jesus. For theologians, it represents a physical testament to doctrines about life, death, and resurrection. The reverence surrounding the tomb transcends mere historical curiosity. It touches deeply held convictions about divine intervention and eternal life. Throughout the Crusades and Ottoman periods, the tomb was protected, contested, and sometimes hidden, reflecting the volatile history of the region. Each era added layers of meaning and interpretation, further embedding the site in a complex tapestry of religion and politics. Pilgrims who visited brought their own stories and beliefs, enriching the tomb's cultural significance. The site has been greatly limited in terms of archaeological access because of its importance, partly to maintain its sacredness and prevent any kind of damage. The surveys and small-scale studies that have been done previously have shown some tantalizing glimpses but have left many questions unanswered. This blank space between faith and science has made the tomb both sacred and mysterious, thus inviting investigations. The debates over the tomb's authenticity have been continuous, with some scholars doubting whether it can be the place where Mary is buried for sure. Others contend that, even if the remains are not there physically, still the site has a power that is symbolic, and it is this power that shapes the religious identity. This situation of conflicting views between the literal and metaphorical interpretations has contributed to the ongoing engagement with this issue. Modern-day investigators coming to the grave site met not only difficulties of a physical nature, but also the heavy influence of devotion and legends spanning over the millennia. The integrity of every finding made in this place would go unheard in the academic world for a long time, and would, instead, affect the lives of the people and the culture of the area for centuries. The burial place is a historical monument, at the same time a living symbol. To comprehend the site's historical value is to be able to discern the enormous stakes involved in its reopening. It is more than just earth and rocks. It is a junction where faith, history, and mystery mix in such a way that they still have the power to entice mankind. From this foundation of reverence and scholarship, the discoveries inside the tomb would soon challenge everything we thought we understood about this extraordinary place. Unexpected findings inside. When scientists finally penetrated the sealed chambers of the tomb, what they discovered defied ordinary expectations. Instead of the peaceful resting place envisioned by tradition, the interior contained a complex array of items and signs that puzzled even the most experienced experts. Unusual markings, ancient inscriptions, and physical artifacts disrupted the idea of the tomb as a simple burial site. This unexpected complexity introduced new layers of mystery that none had anticipated. One of the most unsettling discoveries was the presence of biological remains that did not fit neatly into existing historical or religious frameworks. Fragments of bones and organic material appeared in locations that raised questions about whether they belonged to a single individual or multiple occupants, challenging assumptions about Mary's tomb. Tests hinted at anomalies, suggesting previously unknown historical layers beneath accepted stories. The tomb's walls bore symbols and carvings rarely seen in similar sites, some faint but unmistakably deliberate. These signs suggested ritualistic or protective purposes, yet their meaning remained elusive. The blend of Christian iconography with strange patterns hinted at a mysterious cultural fusion that could rewrite what was thought about the site's history. Scientists knew they were only beginning to decode a complex message embedded in the tomb's structure. Adding to the intrigue was a faint odor detected by some in the team, an odor ancient texts associate with sanctity or curses, but which no instrument could identify. This detail deepened the sense of unease surrounding the excavation. Artifact analysis revealed objects far older or from distant regions, raising questions about trade, pilgrimage, and relic movement. Each item added new threads to the tomb's tangled story, giving the site an almost otherworldly aura. The people who were actually there said that the atmosphere in the tomb was a mixture of great respect and tension that was very easy to feel. The scientists and archaeologists working in the area frequently complained about feeling discomfort or solemnity that was much greater than what was normally expected for such digs. Such an emotional reaction only strengthened the belief that the tomb was more than a burial place. It was connected with the deepest secrets of the human psyche and faith. The emotions became a kind of invisible witness to the tomb's lingering mystery. The research team took special care when they moved around the site, and they were always aware that going too fast in drawing conclusions could result in misunderstandings or even disrespect. Each find was documented meticulously, but the public disclosure was very limited, which in turn caused rumors and increased the suspense of the whole situation worldwide. The scientists' silence made it possible to maintain a fragile relationship between scientific transparency and the right to protect a site that is considered sacred by millions. Although attempts were made to keep the information contained, there were still rumors about findings that refuted the official story of Mary's last moments on Earth. Some people even put forth the idea that there might be some undisclosed relics present, while others were asking whether the tomb could be associated with early Christianity or local religions, whose traditions were still unclear and less understood. No doubt the tomb was a riddle with many pieces that had not been placed yet, some of which could even change the foundational narratives. With every new artifact and anomaly recorded, the question was not if, but how the tomb would make history anew. What was found inside implied a narrative that was much more complex and profound than anyone had ever dared to think. The whole world was already at the brink of revelations that could, from then on, be considered as having the power to change faith, science, and history for good. The reactions from those closest to the findings underscored the emotional weight resting on this extraordinary site. Reactions from experts and faith communities. The reaction to the tomb's unsettling discoveries was as diverse as the communities invested in its legacy. Scientists approached the findings with a combination of excitement and caution, aware that their work could shake long-held beliefs. Religious leaders and theologians grappled with reconciling the anomalies with traditional teachings, leading to spirited debate over interpretation and faith. Across the spectrum, emotions ranged from wonder and hope to fear and skepticism. Among archaeologists, the tomb became an unparalleled case study in blending science with sacred history. Many expressed admiration for the team's respectful handling of the site, even as they recognized that some findings challenged established archaeological norms. Conversations swirled about the ethical implications of excavation and the responsibility of presenting results honestly without sensationalism. This professional tension added depth to the unfolding story. Theological responses were deeply nuanced. Some religious scholars interpreted the discoveries as a potential extension of divine mysteries rather than contradictions. They saw signs that faith and the physical world might intersect in unexpected ways, reinforcing spiritual teachings about the unknown. Others worried that uncertain findings could fuel doubt or be misused to undermine religious truths. This split revealed how fragile the line between belief and evidence can be. Faithful pilgrims and local communities reacted passionately. Many experienced renewed devotion, interpreting the tomb's complex nature as a testament to the sacredness of their traditions. Some sought to protect the site, organizing prayers and vigils amidst fears of disrespect or desecration. Conversely, there were voices expressing discomfort, worried that scientific probing might violate spiritual boundaries or bring unwanted attention. This tension illustrated the deep personal connections to the tomb. Media coverage added its own layer of complexity. Headlines ranged from cautious respect to dramatic declarations, often magnifying fears and hopes beyond what the evidence supported. This public spotlight intensified scrutiny, and fueled global fascination. It also pressured researchers to share limited information carefully, knowing that any misstep could provoke controversy or misunderstanding. International scholars contributed varied perspectives. Some proposed that the findings could indicate syncretism between early Christian practices and other ancient religions in the region. This theory opened discussions about cultural interactions long forgotten or suppressed. Others emphasized the need for further study before concluding, stressing patience over quick answers. This dynamic reflected the delicate interplay of curiosity and humility in uncovering history. Emotional responses within the scientific team themselves were candid, yet subdued. Some described moments of awe and doubt, sensing that their roles had shifted from observers to guardians of an extraordinary secret. The awareness that their work was connected to profound human stories added a solemn responsibility. This gravity influenced how findings were documented and communicated internally. Ultimately, the reactions underscored that the tomb was not just an archaeological site, but a living symbol. It evoked questions about faith, identity, and the human search for meaning that extended far beyond physical artifacts. The crossroads of science and spirituality created a complex dialogue that invited reflection on what it means to uncover the past. The world's fascination with the tomb continued to grow, but the unfolding findings ensured that answers would not come easily nor quickly. Theories emerging from the evidence. As researchers examined the findings, several theories emerged to explain the anomalies within the tomb. Some scholars suggested that the mix of artifacts and remains reflected a more complex past than a single burial. This raised the idea that the site served multiple purposes over time, blending Christian and earlier traditions in ways still not fully understood. A spiritual crossroads that fascinated experts. A leading hypothesis focuses on early Christian practices of relocating or venerating relics, which could explain the diversity of materials discovered. If the tomb was reused or adapted over centuries, it complicates identifying any single occupant or event linked to Mary. This view proposes a layered sacred history, where meaning evolved with each generation of worshippers. Others believe some findings were symbolic rather than literal. Certain objects and markings may represent spiritual messages or protective emblems, forming a theological narrative rather than a straightforward burial record. This interpretation reframes the tomb as a ritual site, rich in encoded belief and devotion. Controversy also surrounds the biological samples. Preliminary genetic tests produced conflicting results, fueling debate over any direct link to Mary. Scientists urged restraint, noting the challenges of analyzing ancient DNA and warning against sensational conclusions. More speculative voices connected the findings to lesser-known regional faiths, suggesting early Christianity may have absorbed local customs. While these ideas remain fringe, they underscore the region's layered cultural history and how meaning shifts across centuries. Together, these theories highlight the tomb's enduring mystery, a site where faith, history, and symbolism converge, defying simple explanation. The nature of the research of several disciplines was such that it brought together and encouraged discussion of the different views of the various areas involved, which were archaeologists, historians, theologians, and geneticists. Each one of the participating areas contributed its own set of methods and interpretations, which at times were in contradiction to each other, but eventually led to the enlightenment of understanding. The very mingling of the different points of view revealed the intricacy of the evidence and the problem of coming up with a universal explanation. The tomb was, by apparent indications, more of a source of questions than a source of answers. So far, the theories that are in dispute have not only been preserved within scholarly circles, but also stepped outside of them, thus most certainly keeping the lively dialogue going. The lack of common ground among the researchers does not render the findings any less significant. On the contrary, this situation is simply an indicator of the mystery's profundity. The animating force of the evidence is not to press for conclusions, but to call for the qualities of humility and patience and, therefore, the continuation of inquiry. In a way, The tomb challenges us to rethink our relationship with history and faith. On the other hand, the public's interest in the speculation surrounding the black hole events has only multiplied, putting more demand on the scientists. The desire for explanation is in sharp contrast to the slow and sometimes uncertain process of scientific research. At the same time, the researchers are still considering the potential impact of their research on the world, which leads them to take a twofold approach of being cautious while at the same time revealing things. This struggle is a major factor in how the scientists' conclusions are communicated to different regions. In the long run, the divergent theories that come from the evidence point out that the grave is more than just an archaeological site, but a story that is still being told. A story that gets richer with every new finding. All theories, whether supported or dismissed, are part of a bigger debate that deals with identity, faith, and history in such a way that it is heard even outside the tomb's walls. The global spotlight on the tomb guaranteed that its impact would ripple through societies worldwide, stirring unexpected conversations. Global impact and public response. News of the scientific opening of Virgin Mary's tomb and its remarkable discoveries ignited global fascination, crossing borders and beliefs. Media outlets, from major networks to local stations, rushed to cover the unfolding story, often blending verified facts with speculation. This mix of awe and uncertainty captivated audiences, feeding an insatiable public curiosity that blurred the line between discovery and myth. Social media quickly turned into a digital forum for faith, skepticism, and debate. Millions shared posts, prayers, and theories about what the findings meant. Religious communities reflected on the spiritual implications, while others sought scientific explanations or voiced disbelief. The conversation revealed humanity's shared desire to connect with the sacred and the mysterious in a modern, fast-moving world. Religious leaders responded with care. Some urged restraint, reminding followers to wait for verified conclusions. Others saw the discovery as a divine sign, using it to renew faith and reflection. The variety of responses showed how deeply the event touched personal and collective identities. Cultural commentators emphasized the tomb's symbolism, not only as an archaeological marvel, but as a mirror reflecting our struggle between faith and reason. Documentaries, books, and lectures soon followed, exploring how ancient mysteries continue to shape modern meaning. The tomb became a metaphor for humanity's enduring quest to understand its own origins. Pilgrimages surged as believers sought to visit the site, turning the tomb of the Virgin Mary into a center of devotion and curiosity. Local authorities and preservationists faced the dual challenge of managing tourism and protecting the site's sanctity. Balancing reverence with accessibility became a pressing concern. Meanwhile, scholars noted the tomb's role in fostering interfaith dialogue and cooperation. Shared fascination with this sacred discovery encouraged unity among diverse traditions while reigniting discussions about where science and spirituality meet. Critics, however, warned of potential exploitation. They cautioned that sensationalism and commercial motives could distort the truth and overshadow genuine scholarship. Responsible research, they argued, must remain the guiding principle in interpreting such profound findings. Educational institutions embraced the moment, incorporating the tomb's discoveries into studies of archaeology, theology, and cultural heritage. These programs invited reflection on how the past continues to shape human understanding. The opening of Virgin Mary's tomb became more than an event. It became a global conversation about truth, faith, and the enduring mystery of history itself. Through all these reactions, the tomb emerged as more than a physical place. It became a catalyst for reflection on belief, evidence, and our shared past. Its story continues to unfold, carrying the weight of history while inspiring hope, debate, and wonder worldwide. The unfolding mystery and future research. Despite remarkable progress from the first exploration of the Virgin Mary's tomb, many questions remain, keeping the mystery alive. The tomb's complexity has prompted further study, with research teams preparing for deeper analysis once preservation and environmental concerns are resolved. Scientists agree that uncovering history on this scale requires patience and collaboration, as every new finding could reshape long-held beliefs or open entirely new paths of inquiry. A key challenge lies in decoding the cryptic symbols and inscriptions covering the tomb's walls. Linguists and historians are examining ancient scripts and iconography to interpret their meaning, which may hold vital clues about the tomb's purpose and occupants. Unlocking this language could reveal cultural and spiritual links across civilizations, deepening our understanding of the region's layered past. Further genetic testing is planned to analyze biological material found within the tomb. Though centuries of decay and contamination complicate results, modern technology improves the chances of success. Confirming any direct link to Mary or her contemporaries would be historic, merging science with faith in unprecedented ways. Preservation experts are also developing strategies to protect the tomb's fragile interior. Controlled microclimates and non-invasive imaging will balance accessibility with conservation, ensuring the site remains both sacred and stable for future study. The find has brought back the debates about the management of religious archaeological sites all over the world. Theological experts and scientists are trying to agree upon rules of conduct that take into consideration the feelings of the believers, but, at the same time, allow for open and honest scientific research. This joint effort is indicative of a larger movement that is trying to find a way to reconcile the respect for the past with the need to study it. Sites of the international institutions have shown interest in supporting the investigations that will continue to come, acknowledging not only the tombs but also the whole of human history's great and universal place. It will take a long time to get the necessary funding and to draw in the experts from various fields. However, this would be a great opportunity to show how common curiosity can bring people together instead of splitting them apart. The public intrigue is continually rising with every new insight that comes to light. The story of the tomb is being told in various ways through education, online visits, and literature, thus making the audience more and more worldwide and reflecting on the bond between history, faith, and science more deeply. In the end, the secret of the Virgin Mary's grave is still there to be solved. With every new find, we are invited to wonder, educate ourselves, and bridge the past with the present. Research to come not only promises knowledge, but also a new dialogue, interdisciplinary, intercultural, and interfaith understanding that unites in the common quest of comprehension. The opening of Virgin Mary's tomb has uncovered mysteries that challenge both history and faith, capturing the world's imagination. As science and spirituality converge, we are reminded of the timeless questions buried deep beneath the earth, questions that continue to shape belief and understanding. If this glimpse into ancient secrets moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch the next video shown on your screen for more extraordinary journeys into the mysteries that lie beyond what we think we know.